live. Oh, my back. Jesus Christ. Anyways, so I figured I gotta go make a short drive real quick. I wanna talk about some cars today. All right, car talk while we are in this fucking shitty car. So, as we all know, there's a lot of myths, quote unquote, about older cars. Oh, they're built better. Oh, they're this. It's like, okay, when people bring up all these different, logical fallacies is really the only correct term for them, but still, it's like old cars not inherently better than new cars, but new cars are definitely not better than old cars. What has happened is that you can kind of visualize this as a couple lines if you can figure out the math equation for it, but the engineering effort that went into cars right up until about the 2000s was, we are going to improve on this vehicle. We're going to make something that people want to drive, that people actually like. We're going to try to actually, make a viable product that people will be interested in buying just on their own right. Now what we've done with the advent of all these different modern technologies is we have taken the car and made it kind of a requirement for life and commute, which is okay. Everybody can get a car. That's no problem. We have the means. But the problem is we're just shoving them full of bullshit and making them as badly as we possibly can. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Looking at any of these 2026 Ford, Chevy, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, whatever the fuck bullshit, goddamn. Here's the main problems that I see. All of the different electronic components that are going within these new vehicles are all dependent on one, connected to some server kind of system, all these different sensors and stuff. But they all are integral to other components of the vehicle. Now, having just a little bit of insider knowledge on some newer automotive stuff, but also some general mechanics knowledge, I can see why, Ford removing the dipstick in one of their transmissions, or it's like the new 10R80 or something, to where you have to unscrew with a little, what is it, fucking 22 millimeter bolt, and then, the transmission has to be at a certain temperature, but it'll show you if the fluid level is correct. It's like, okay, logically speaking, yeah, I guess this is better, in quotation marks, because it's less engineering required, and it's less materials, it's less parts, it's in general just less shit that you have to put in the car. But the problem is, I can no longer open my hood, pull the tranny dipstick, and see, oh shit, there's material on the stick? What the fuck? No, I can't just check my car at certain points now. I'd have to get it up in the air or crawl underneath it somehow, and it'd have to be at a certain operating temperature. So if it's hot outside, I gotta let it cool off. If the car's gotten hot, it's hot outside, it's gonna take. The point is, and I know the dipstick example is kind of like a moot point, whatever. Sealed transmissions. You don't seal a fucking transmission. On the newer Harleys, to fucking change the training fluid on or something, or fucking, no, it's not the Harleys, no, it's the fucking, I know Harleys had an issue if the engines are sealed or something, to change the oil is a fucking nightmare or something. Please, somebody verify that in chat. The newer Harleys with the sealed engines, something about that just kind of flashed by my brain, distracted me for a second, but please, remember those terms, sealed Harley engine. I saw somebody complaining about them. Sealed transmissions, plastic oil pans, plastic intake covers, fucking make the exhaust manifold out of plastic at this fucking point. Make the heads out of plastic. Make the fucking block out of goddamn Bakelite if you're going to do that for. God damn. None of these little snap clips made of plastic, none of these big parts made of plastic are going to survive 40, 50 years of hot and cold cycles, let alone 20 to 30. They're all going to start fucking showing signs of stress. Let's say you have in 20 years, it's 2046. You have a 2026 Ford F-150, truck just hit 20 years old, and it's lived in the Midwest through a bunch of hot and cold cycles, negative 40 to 110 outside, those kinds of temperature swings. Regardless of whether or not that vehicle was stored in the garage, if that garage was not climate controlled, it's still hot and cold cycles. Same thing kind of weathering. It's just going to wear down the plastic, and it's not. These cars have lifespans now in the materials they use, and they're not designed well at all. GM, one of the powertrain engineers came out and said something along the lines of the 4-pin rear end that they were working with up until about the mid-2010s, something like that. They were working with the 4-pin rear end, and then they tried weakening the metallurgy quality of it, the actual quality of the metals they mixed together, to try to save on costs some. And it ended up shredding every rear end going to test, so they switched to the 5-pin rear end, which saved their ass. Now the rear end doesn't explode upon testing, but it's still made out of that weaker quality metal. Now compare this to something like the old 1950s first gen Ford 9-inch rear ends. They stick those in drag cars. Can you imagine why? Can you imagine why nobody's sticking a fucking 10R rating in a drag car if it's so fucking good? No, I mean, that's obviously a stupid example. Who the fuck am I kidding? But you get what I'm saying. Everything is made with lower quality in mind now. They know they can do stuff and kind of like cut a couple corners here and there because they need to make the money on it. They're not putting their 100% into it. They're making the shit on purpose. One moment. Anyways, so back to earlier, my initial like starting a video with old cars being better than new cars. Okay, which old cars? How are they better? Anybody is just going to get up in arms about that question, like, oh, well, the Dodge Challenger looks so good. Oh, the Chevy Square Body is fucking indestructible. Oh, the Ford Pinto can be taken apart by a couple of blonde women in 15 minutes or less. It's like, okay, well, these all have their own strengths and weaknesses. They all have their, okay, the Ford Pintos explode when you rear end them. The Chevy Square Bodies rust the fuck out if left unmaintained for a little bit. My personal car, my favorite, the Gas 24 Volga. Produced over in Eastern Europe from 1970, technically until 2003 with its engineering, an engine, drivetrain, all that, just in a different car body, but still, 1960 sedan made over in Russia with a leaf spring rear suspension, kingpin front suspension, rear wheel drive, like very basic and utilitarian sedan, okay? 4-cylinder, 2.4 liter, 100 speed manual, 410 rear end, 2.6 meter wheelbase. It's not a very adequate car as it sits. I mean, it was good for old standards, but what I see in cars like that is something I think newer cars should be kind of using. The Gas 24 was produced with a crank start handle that was sitting in the trunk. They did not attach the car, mind you. If your starter died, if your battery was dead, go grab the crank handle out of the trunk, walk by since you have the driver's door open anyway, pump the gas a couple times so it's prime and there's fuel in the carb. Walk over to the front of the car, stick the crank in, kick it, and as long as you didn't leave your car in first gear, because you do that with manuals sometimes, the thing will start right up. Or else you might just almost ran yourself over. Who knows? But you get the idea. That's just one small safety feature that requires just a flip-down license plate in the front and a little fucking, like, specially designed kickoff screw on the front of the crankshaft bolt. That's all it requires. That's all it fucking needs. And you just saved me from having to bump start my car or call its tow truck. What if it's raining outside? I don't want to fucking be standing out there, fucking driver's door open, going down a slight incline, have to pop it in second gear. I don't want to fucking deal with that. Just go out there, put the crank handle on it, kick it, it starts. Maybe I have to kick it 4, 5, 8 times. Who knows? But regardless, I still will be able to, and you will not. Leaf spring rear suspension. Now, sure, a drive shaft, live axle rear end, that's a lot of unsprung weights and just, it's not ideal, but it's durable as fuck. And you can put any rear end underneath a leaf spring rear suspension. Like, it's modular. It's modular, and it's designed to basically be like the cockroach of all the fucking sedans that have ever existed. That's why I like it. Now, what modern cars could use from this, everybody wants something that they can just work on. Some simple little gas, fucking buy it, everybody wants to have my summer car in real life. Buy a Soviet car. Why can't we make American cars like that? Look, why the fuck is America, land of the free, home of the fucking Walmarts per capita, all right? Fucking, and we can't just make a shitty $15,000 pickup truck with a 4-cylinder that anybody can go out and buy with start now and be like, okay, this is my car that I'm going to learn how to maintain, work on. It doesn't even have power steering because it weighs so little. Fucking, your car, like, okay, do you realize how much shit is unnecessary in the modern car? From all the infotainment, heads-up display systems, to the fucking, like, 9 million different sensors, the sensor that can turn the light on in your mirror. That sensor costs $1,000 to fucking replace, and if that sensor, that makes your mirror light up when somebody's next to you, that $1,000 sensor, now that it's gone out, that you have to replace, that light's gonna be stuck on. The light doesn't turn off once that sensor goes. That's how they're fucking designed. And I know that's just like nitpicking. Oh, well, you don't need that anyway. That's just like a dumb little, yeah, we could do without it. It does help you out, but fucking, how many other safety features are on cars that require like a multitude of different sensors, fucking talking to each other back and forth, and just kind of like thinking here, because I'm not super well versed on if this is an actual safety feature or not, but if, let's say, I threw the tensioner belt on my car, and now the tensioner has moved out of position, the car can detect that and shut itself off, not allow itself to move because it knows the belt's off, and as such, cannot allow any damage to the vehicle. Well, okay. First of all, yes, it's going to probably overheat because the water pump is no longer spinning, and I'm running it off the battery because the alternator is no longer spinning. That is an issue. But Bill Nye, consider the following. If my car is having an issue like that, and I'm able to at least limp it to the fucking gas station to like open up the coolant reservoir with a couple rags over my hands, so all that water just starts to burble up, and then I open it up the rest of the way, if all the pressure out, and it starts just dumping coolant out, then I can cycle it with cold water, cool the engine off as best as I can, go inside, get a roller dog. I did that with my piece of shit car. The fucking newer shit that we have, I don't think could have done that. I wrestled this bitch with no power steering up and down about 4 city blocks, and you know what? It overheated like 4 times, and I made sure to pull over before it ever hit 260 every time. This car is abused like hell. But regardless, you can't do that with these newer cars. They're built like shit. They're all built to be driven in such a specific, controlled way that's like, oh, well, hold on, if you explain this argument to anybody that's just like, general average Joe, fucking 100 IQ only, they're like, oh, well, yeah, just drive the car normally. Don't drive the car hard. If you drive the car hard, that's not what the manufacturer specified, so why would you do that in the first place? There are situations where sometimes you need to bend the laws a little bit. For example, let's say you're on a road and your car has lane detection or something. If you try to swerve out of the lane, it'll keep you in the lane to make sure you don't hit anybody, okay? Let's say a tree is fallen or cars on the side of the road, there's a grandma in a wheelchair, whatever the hell's in front of you, you don't want to hit it. You try swerving into the other lane, and then your car swerves back. Well, okay, now you're going to be fucking hitting the auto brake because you're going to have to stop that grandma or tree or whatever. If you're on a slick surface, you might end up hitting it, oh well. But regardless, let's say you slam to a complete stop. Now your head bashes off the fucking steering wheel because you were caught off guard because you were already kind of like casting your weight into the left a little bit. Like, okay, you're turning that direction, you're going to go around this, you knew what you were going to do. Okay, let me just summarize my argument. The computer is now the brain of the car. Your brain is no longer the overlying factor that controls and monitors the vehicle. As such, and you can kind of apply this to everything else in the previous talk that I said, companies are trying to replace the human brain so they can control your decision-making processes for you. It's bullshit. Really, it's horrifying, it's dastardly, it's just disgusting. I want to be able to control my own decisions. I want to be able to make my own decisions because, yes, I am fucking capable. The only problem with our society is that stupid people have been, like, selectively bred to outbreed the smart people, that you can't really do much about that at this point, Anybody can just hop in a car with an automatic transmission, press the button, and then go. Fucking... We're making... I guess the cars are easier to drive now than they've ever been, but, like... Fucking... We don't require people to know how to drive a manual on the driving test. It's like... We're making cars for retards and old people. That's what we're doing. We're making cars for the elderly and for those who have never heard of a car in their life. And we're just catering to a population of imbeciles who have no ability for independent thought or action. And I guess I see why. It's profitable. It's economics. If you force everybody to just fucking, sing your tune and fucking follow along with you, you fucking... Fuck. And let me just bring up one last point, because I do have to get off here. And this is, like, think about this. The stupid-ass fucking dials that these newer cars use for the drive select, okay? That's a horrible idea. When is that switch going to bug the fuck out and try setting your car into neutral or reverse or one of your lower gears while you're going down the road, or just not function at all? When's that switch going to quit and like, oh, I can't, I can't get out of the car and at least move the shifter cable? Fucking, no. If everything can be done, quote-unquote, more efficiently by these systems that are dependent by modern systems to even produce, all these different sensors that are internet-dependent and made out of plastic, like, all this different shit is vulnerable in very specific ways that does not promote any kind of longevity. That's what I see. And I need to do more research. I need to get, I need to put my words onto a piece of paper and, like, video essay the shit for y'all one of these days, but just take that home with you. These newer cars are designed to be very vulnerable, very particular, very, they're all bullshit. They're all bullshit, and they are bad for you. They're full of microplastics, and your balls will also be full of microplastics after being inside of one. But no, like, and I know I need to, whatever, fucking, look. The best era for cars was about the 1950s to the 1980s, 1990s. That little sweet spot, it was like the best engineering, modularity, safety just kind of goes on a linear curve of more safe versus less safe, or, the 50s to 90s, it just spikes the hell up in the mid 70s and onwards, but still, like, you can graph all the stuff in your head and kind of get a general idea of whatever car you're looking at. And like, okay, a 1982 Volvo 240, that's a pretty good idea. 1998 Volvo 740, yeah, it's also a pretty good idea. 1956 Packard, I mean, if you really want to go for the effort of like making 1956 Packard the best you can, roll cage, better engine, and all that, yeah, fucking go nuts. Find what you like and just know that whatever you're working with, it can be made on par with these modern cars, but it doesn't need to have a fucking Android Auto, goddamn, all these different auto stop-start systems. Like, add a dual circuit master cylinder in your old fucking 50s car. Please, you do not need a single pot master cylinder. When your brake lines, fucking, one of your lines blows, all of a sudden you now have no longer any brake pressure. But then again, all a car really is just a form of transportation. So who's to say you couldn't put a modern braking system in that 56 Packard? You can. They sell kits for that kind of shit now. They fucking... It's easy. If you know what you're doing. You need to know what you're doing. So, I appreciate everybody for stopping in here. Everybody have a good one. I am going to... yeah, I got shit to do. So, it's been fun. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. I shall see y'all later.